Today's guest is Brad Jurgenson, the president of Home Slice Media. We're going to be highlighting the Libertyland and a TIF debate. Given the heated debate in Rapid City, people are looking for clarity on where their tax money is going. I got it. So what I did for this podcast to make it not so biased is I went through no free rides.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I
love their logo, by the way. It drives me crazy how much I love their logo. It's impressive. It's funny.
I went through and found questions that they would ask.
Good.
Or in like speculation that I've heard from people in the community also. So I took all those. And
You want to hear the funniest one I've heard?
What's that?
That there's a secret data center underneath a Ferris wheel.
Nice.
That's the most fun one I've heard. Not true.
I've seen the plans. I'm just kidding.
It's where they're going to hide the aliens. Where they're keeping the Lindbergh baby is like where they're going to put the data center.
Like the new Denver airport.
Yeah. Yes. It's the new Denver airport. No, I like this is a fun way to do it. First, let's start here. I have friends on both sides.
Yeah.
This is not a reason to lose friends or family over.
I don't think anything
no
political
election
really
is. It's insane that if you're coming into this thing, if your source is hot, right? Like if you're learning about this from someone who's angry on either side of the fence, source check and pick someone who isn't.
Right.
And make your decision from there.
Yeah.
But I like your setup here. Your premise is good. Fire away, man. That'd be fun. So you want to fire with the spicy stuff. It's fun, right on. Let's do it.
It's a smart strategy because they're trying to get people to think that they're voting on the sports complex.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Been called a liar and deceitful quite a bit over the last few weeks.
And they're using a sports logo. They're calling themselves Team Rapid City, but the game they're playing is fooling the public. So give me some insight on you have an advantage because you have media behind you. It's kind of the Home Slice perspective. So
sure.
Yeah.
I think what is being perceived as an onslaught of one-sided media is actually 350 names of support along with Elevate and the real estate folks and the home builders and the tourism coalition and the nurses and the sports parents we're talking to. So like, that's what support looks like.
Right.
Can't help that people like a thing. Not everybody hates this thing. It's not as unpopular. If you go on Facebook and you scroll through it, you'll see a lot of spicy takes, but you'll often see that spicy take not from Rapid City.
So what do you think about using a sports logo?
I'll tell you exactly how Team Rapid City came up.
Okay.
Because this isn't really about TIFs. This is about turnout. If you look at South Dakota elections over the last 4 or 5 cycles, we have never seen turnout so low. Sioux Falls had an election for school board last year, got 3% turnout. Last June in a primary where we picked all these leaders, we only had 17% turnout. It's called Team Rapid City because no matter the issue, and here are the issues that are coming up in the Black Hills no matter how you sit on them, these are the issues that not that there aren't other issues, but here are our largest issues as I see. Next 5-10 years. Housing. Okay. Affordable housing and housing in general. The multifamily and single family conversation. School bonds. Jail bonds and public safety. Airport funding. Water pipeline from the Missouri River out west because our aquifers aren't what they thought they might be. And that needs constant study and constant updating. Streets, roads, growth. How does Rapid City, the last governor, whether you voted for her or not, ran national ads telling people to move to South Dakota, work in South Dakota. And that's happening. Sometimes up to 12 people move to Western South Dakota a day. We need to build stuff that is an infrastructure for them. It's called Team Rapid City because we need turnout. It's called Team Rapid City because this is about the kids. Let's talk about the sports complex because that's where the heart, I think, of their accusation lies.
Yep. They think you're using the sports complex for like getting parents behind it and kids.
I am. You know why? Here's why. Let's say this vote doesn't pass. The sports complex needs to find $10 million in funding, at least. Drainage, roads. If you drive out there onto this site north of Fleet Farm, where we're talking about here, there's a kind of a creek berm thing that runs all through the property, and then the whole thing slopes downhill. And the flattest area, the most easiest, most valuable piece of land, that's what's getting donated to the sports complex. That's 28 acres that they get, even if this thing doesn't pass, even if this town votes no. That happens anyway. They're right in that fact. The opposition, I think, is good at using 3% of the truth and then kind of surrounding an argument around it, because they're not lying. They are two different TIFs.
Yeah.
They've been worked in together since 2019. They've been planned hand in hand since 2019. That's 6 years. Passed by the council twice, city and zoning, planning, county. They got referred, which is the public right, and that's fine. But the only reason it was really referred is because the city screwed up publishing it, and not screwed up. There was a mistake in publishing the notice, and they had to do it twice. That gave the opposition time. Turnout. It's not about TIFs. That requires a team. That's Team Rapid City. If this thing fails, the sports complex needs to find help in parking, in sidewalks, in a little chunk of the 143rd Ave, and in all the drainage and infrastructure. That's support. That's not dishonest. They're not together. No one's voting on the sports complex. We'll be the first people to tell that. I don't know where they get the deceitfulness. Part of it is no matter what I say, I'm going to get called a liar. So, like, again, if you're coming into this thing hot, I would rewire that. But that's up to, whoever. And if you're still voting no, that's fine too, right? Like, again, I got friends on both sides. If you don't want this town to change, don't change.
Yeah, that's why I'm not going to give my opinion, because I don't want to take a side of anything and have this be biased of a podcast. I want to just give people information and I don't know, try and answer some questions.
I think that's what everybody should do. The opposition should be doing that too. Because like, instead of calling me such a, liar, why not? Where's your plan? Where's your plan then? We need to grow. We need infrastructure. How come this doesn't get yipped at in West Rapid, but the second we want to put this in North Rapid, all of a sudden it's a problem? Opposition said the other day, we have enough ethnic restaurants in this town. I disagree. Fine to think that there is, but I disagree. That's not everybody's the devil. That's just, we have a choice on how to grow. I came in the Black Hills in 2001. Grew up in South Sioux Falls, South Dakota, born and bred, been here my entire life, which who cares what's that mean? But like, I came here in 2001. And I had twins at an early age, twin boys. And the reason I'm here is because I'm dripping in privilege and had a lot of help. But people older than me made good decisions that allowed me to have a good run. I'm 45 this month. I spend a lot of my time thinking about, now that I'm 45, I better start thinking about that for the 22-year-olds that are moving here now. Or graduating from here and leaving and never coming back. There's two ways to grow. That's why it's Team Rapid City. That's not, I don't know what's so underhanded about it, but I don't know. It's in the same sense where people hate Liberty all of a sudden. We're 25 minutes from Mount Rushmore. People from Indiana come here because of that. Naming something Liberty is good business. I'll defend that all day.
Okay. Let's see.
Sorry, that was a long-winded answer to your question. Yeah, this is fun.
The most common fear is that TIFs increase residential property taxes.
Yeah. I think that's a good standard fear. I don't think it's fair to blame it on TIFs. I think if you're concerned about property taxes, you are aware of what's going on, right? So like, I don't want to just poo-poo someone who's like, well, my property taxes are going up. So I've talked to some folks in the last 10 years, the property taxes have almost doubled. That's full stop a real issue we need to solve. Growth solves it. In my opinion, the only reason to reduce property taxes is to increase other revenue. That's sales taxes. And in this deal right now, the whole TIF district generates about $182,000 a year in property taxes. The actual Libertyland part of that makes $5,000 a year in property taxes. This is what a TIF is. Developer takes out a loan to do these streets and this signal and this drainage and this sewer and widen Seeger, and then pay for that, and then there's to be some offsets. But for that not happening, this project won't happen. That's what a TIF is. That's right from South Dakota codified law. But for this not happening, the development won't happen. That's what this is. When it's done in 20 years, and by the way, most TIFs in Rapid City get paid off in 11, it'll be worth $82 million a year. 182,000 or 187,000 to 182 million. That's how you pay for stuff. It is. I grew up in Alcester, South Dakota.
Yep.
It sits between Sioux Falls and Sioux City. Okay. It's Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Sioux City, Iowa. It's right in between the middle of it, 45 minutes north, 45 minutes south. In the 60s and 70s, Sioux Falls made a bunch of decisions about how to grow. And Sioux City made a bunch of decisions how to grow. Generally speaking, Sioux Falls was let's make some decisions and yes, and Sioux Falls was let's make some decisions of no. If you look at those towns today, Sioux City is the same town it is, and Sioux Falls is the Midwest economic epicenter outside of Omaha.
Right.
That's what this is.
Yep.
If you don't want that, I understand.
All right. Opponents argue that it's a corporate handout and supporters call it infrastructure tool.
Yeah. So let's talk about South Dakota's infrastructure tools. And then
Go
ahead.
Can we take it one by one?
Sure.
Go from why opponents argue it's a corporate handout.
I think their argument, and it's probably similar to like data centers, is they don't want, like 80% of this town wants a Costco. That's a pretty true stat, right? 80% of this town wants a Costco. Costco has a lot of different places they could go around the country as they look at new stores. Facts. We're in western South Dakota. It's harder to build out here. It's harder to ship here. It's harder to get things here. That's why there's not a Hy-Vee here. That's why there's not better grocery stores here. It's shipping. We're remote. We like being in an area without any population and we're not California. Well, the downside to that is it takes 3 extra days for your prime stuff to get here sometimes, right? That's just what it is. If we want to grow and we want some of these opportunities and we're talking to these companies as they're developing, they won't come here unless there's some infrastructure offset, meaning Shields wouldn't have built a Shields in Rushmore Crossing had not the streets already been built. They just won't. They can't. It won't make money. Now, you might not have to love that, but it's just the actual truth. Now you go to Peer, and this is why they call it corporate cronyism or corporate handouts or whatever it is. And by the way, that's fine. Do your thing. People have been saying this for 100 years. They're going to say it 100 years from now. It is what it is. They're welcome to their opinion. If you look at South Dakota, surrounded to the other states we are, North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, Wyoming, Montana, they all have some sort of economic development offset. Wyoming has oil and coal. North Dakota has oil. Iowa has corn. Nebraska is just better at economic development a little bit. Minnesota has a bunch of public offsets that they do. So if this project was in Wyoming, for example, we'd go to the governor's office and they'd build the $6 to $9 to $17 million worth of infrastructure through the governor's office with oil money. Mm-hmm. And then that's the incentive that the Costco would have to come and put in. Mm. So that's why there's Costco's in Cheyenne. I don't know if there is one or not, but that's how a Walmart came here.
Hypothetically.
That's how Walmart came here. That's how Target came here. That's how Cabela's came here. That's how all the housing on Elkvale got built. It's how all the stuff on Catron got built. Like most of the housing developments in Rapid City are usually as an extension of some sort of TIF from the 60s to now. It's the truth.
Okay. Nope. All right.
If the opposition wants to go build a housing development as a solution, great. Star Village, by the way, should be a TIF. Like, these are options.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I do see zero solutions when somebody's arguing something. Zero solutions. And it's always like filler words, like accountability and
if you're coming in pre-teamed, you're mad about something else. Yeah. Also, sometimes I agree with what the person would be mad about.
Yeah,
absolutely. Property taxes, right? I was talking to my friend.
Much, yeah.
My friend's a fiery leftist, right? And they're great. They're fantastic. They're engaged and they're an activist, but they're a leftist, and that's totally fine too, right? They're enraged that this is called Libertyland. We're calling Libertyland. They're snatching Americans off the street. We can't call anything Libertyland. And then I got 10 minutes on Pete Hegseth. And so I agree with some of these positions, but we have to be able to separate some of this national conversation from Rapid City growth. It's not the same thing. It's called Libertyland because 25 minutes is Rushmore and Keystone and Crazy Horse and the Southern Hills and Deadwood. This is the other reason it's tied to the sports complex. 23-year-old twins. We were jiu-jitsu kids and MMA kids. There's no jiu-jitsu stuff around here, really. So you got to drive to Denver. Okay. So we drive to Denver for our mixed martial arts jiu-jitsu tournament. And sometimes, because it's how it goes, the tournament's over in 9 minutes.
Yeah.
But we're in Denver for 3 days. The reason there's a sports logo on there is because these things work hand in hand. So tourism can exist in January and February. So 1,500 sports teams can come out here and have a tournament and fill up our hotels, fill up our sales taxes. That's why they're together. That's why there's a logo on the thing. That's why I'll defend that with absolutely no qualms. And I don't care if anybody calls it dishonest, because they're just not really looking at the full picture. They just want to be a no.
Yes or no? If the voters say no on January 20th, because there's an election coming up, now we can say there's a
Election coming up on January 20th. Early voting started now. You can vote right today.
okay. So just go to the courthouse.
Out to the admin building. It's actually a new location. It's out on Concourse Drive, kind of out by Fensky Media. So you used to go downtown. But now you kind of go out on Concourse Drive at that turn where Timmons is, kind of.
Okay.
Or you can just wait till the 20th. I'd prefer you vote now, even if you're a no voter, because it's January. What if the weather turns, right? Yeah. Even if you're a no voter, you should get out and vote now. What were you about to ask? Yes or no? Sorry.
I really need to get a piece of software here for this. It keeps like resetting every time I switch screens. Scroll down. Okay. Does the project die entirely?
Yes.
Or do you just find a different way to fund it?
If it doesn't happen, if it doesn't vote, I think that's the big argument, is if it's so great, they should just build it themselves, right? And I get why somebody would on the surface feel that way. It's not going to happen. If the town votes no, they're going to listen to the town.
Okay, why should residents in either South Canyon or Robbinsdale care about the development happening on the north side?
What's good for the town's good for the town. What's better for north side is better for west side. What's better for improving the north side improves the south side. Improving the housing. So like if you look at where this thing on the northern border of this thing, if you look north of that, that's where our housing growth could go. If you look at Rapid City and go north, south, east, west, to the south, they're building a $650 million Sanford Hospital. And behind that, I don't know how many $1 million Mormon temple. That is a huge, huge, huge game-changing pieces of development. To the east, we're building new bombers, and they're pouring runway concrete for the next generation of Ellsworth Air Force Base, which is housing and jobs and quality of life. Those two properties alone, those people come here and they have spouses. Those spouses leave here because there's no quality of life. They want more shopping, entertainment, dining, right? If you look at the housing we're trying to grow, can't go into the hills. That's not affordable. Right? So there's only a few ways you can go. You try to go towards Black Hawk and Piedmont. Well, there's limestone mines here and there's sinkholes there. You know what I mean? Black Hawk and Piedmont can develop themselves. Rapid City can only grow realistically without costing the taxpayers money one way.
North.
And now here's where it gets interesting. There's a public infrastructure in here that fixes the drainage and the sewer. Usually these things don't get a lot of drag because there's the Chick-fil-A in the last one, and 157% of the people of this town want a Chick-fil-A, right? So no one argued about the Chick-fil-A TIF. Right. No one argues about the housing TIF, right? So I just don't know how else to say it without sounding a little bit snippy about it. It's
sounds snippy, man.
I know what it's not. I have a reputation for being hard on opposition for previous deals.
Right.
Again, I'm not going to vote for Taffy Howard ever, but she's a good egg. You know what I mean? And she's not wrong all the time. She's just doing what she thinks is right. No one's enemies. That's silly. That's low voter extremism running the narrative.
They also say there's more than 2,000 jobs with this, and we have a housing crisis. So where is everybody supposed to live? Affordability also.
I agree. Let's do these one at a time and start with jobs.
Okay.
Because all those bang, bang, bang are 100% spot on. Those are the types of concerns you should have with any TIF, any vote, any question, governor, House rep, everybody, right? We, Home Slice Group, we have a restaurant in Sturgis called Latin American. Come have our steak tips. We'd love to have you. And during the Sturgis rally, we can't get another body in there, right? It's busy. And I agree with these people. on tourism, that tourism needs to find a way to have those jobs be full time. So it's not just a May through October. And again, I don't mean to sound dismissive to the argument of the other side, but the only way to me to grow that, so tourism jobs or year-round jobs, is to have things to do in January and February.
Mm-hmm.
That makes your $24,000 part-time job a $48,000 or $62,000 with benefits. And we have to pay that, and that's a good thing, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Growth pays for growth. That's my argument on jobs. Housing, I think housing is interesting. If you look at the housing history of this development destination district, you see old renderings from like 2019, Ferris wheel, fireworks, lagoon pits, and that's because in the very beginning in 2019, when they were making renderings, they're trying to see what it could be anything. And then you start to talk to real people. Well, you guys live here and it's winter, so it should look more like what the Wisconsin Dells does, or Island of Pigeon Forge, and have some indoor stuff and some outdoor stuff in the summer, and make it, but getting to housing, there's 400 housing units going into this, lotted out. If you had 400 housing units anywhere in Rapid City, that makes the housing units more affordable. Full stop. These are great questions, by the way.
Yeah.
No, seriously, they're the good. That's what the opposition asks, and what a lot of people, like Rapid City journalists, ask it like this. They ask good questions, by the way. Oh, look at that.
The ventilation. I'll edit that out.
It's the third guest.
Let's see. Okay. Does the TIF take away money from the library and the police department growth, basically, because it locks in
For 20 years.
Yeah, for 2 decades. So the police department, the growth for the police department and community things, how is this gonna?
I think there's some misdirection that it takes something away, which is not. So like the money that's there now stays there now for the full run. And then before I kind of explain this, I'll remind everybody, because I think there's some misconception on TIFs, like we're abusing TIFs. Like the only 2 have never been paid off, and even in those 2, a second owner figured it out, and then we still got the public infrastructure. And even in all those, and even in the 2 that didn't pay off, our property taxes didn't go up because of it. It just didn't happen. The sales tax on the city, let's go one by one. We'll get to the county, because I think the county put out a letter and they make some good points, because they need to be able to budget around these freezes. And if they can't quite figure it out, they can't quite figure it out. But
Right.
what they leave out in there is they pay off in 11 years and there's always more money. That makes it pretty easy to budget. But that's a separate argument. Let's stick with the city and the sales tax. Okay. Property taxes, you're right. It takes a couple decades to pay off. When should you plant a tree? 20 years ago. That's why you plant them.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop. Sales tax starts kicking in a couple years. Sales tax doesn't take 20 years. Sales tax happens right away. Cities only have sales tax as a weapon. Out of property taxes, schools get about 40%, right? And counties get a chunk and city gets just an inch. Sales taxes is what the cities get. And so 2 years in or 3 years into this thing, when they put in roads and put in some vertical construction, sales tax generates immediately for the city. That is library funding specifically. That is police funding specifically. It doesn't take anything away. It increases it.
What kind of transparency could happen to make it more explainable and understanding for other
That's
people?
a great question.
Yeah.
And this is where I think the opposition and I might have a little, where we are on the same page a little bit. I don't think it's unreasonable to examine these in peer. You'd have to do it in peer. You can't do that at the city level. Cities should have local control on what TIFs they can and can't do. But if you're going to fix TIFs a little, update them for the modern times and make sure there's more regulation in them, is what people really want. You have to do that at the legislative level. Yeah. What my fear is that people are so mad about TIFs without really, corporate handout, this misdirection narrative, will just stop growing. School bonds, jail bonds, extensions. We'll never get a new prison built. That prison was a 7-year fight, and we built that thing in 1800 something. It's human torture to put people in that building. You need to build a new one. Yeah. I know no one wants to, but you need to.
They also say, well, I've read that They're afraid that with more people, violence, and like all this bad stuff, like negative things that they're talking about, is going to happen.
Set aside that I think that is just a racist statement outside of it and out of context. I don't think you're saying that, and I'm, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's such that's just fear tactic. The opposition also. Do you know R.L. Stein and Goosebumps? The books. Remember the books?
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goosebumps has a ride being developed in this Libertyland, which is super cool. It's like one of these indoor entertainment deals where you feel all the 90s, you know, and it's Goosebumps for kids, for family kids. Opposition called it fear porn. Your crime's going to go up. Fear porn's going to take over. I feel respectfully that we're getting a lot of negativity thrown our way when we're just trying to talk about smart growth. And from the opposition, I hear things like fear porn and your crime's going to go up. Scary people are going to come here. And we have enough ethnic restaurants in this town. That's ridiculous.
And no solutions coming your way.
So like, then fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how, like get a shovel and let's dig in instead of just saying we can never change, because it's grow or die.
I will say one thing, and I hate giving my opinion, but I feel as though with everybody I talk to in the community, because I am a common folk.
Same, by the way. I rent common folk. Common folk. You know what I mean? I worked in radio. I don't know where crony capitalism's coming in.
There's a lot of people that want growth.
Yeah.
Better jobs. And
better housing.
With growth, it's going to get better jobs.
Yes.
And I mean, for the future that's coming in, a lot of us do want to stay here for the rest of our lives. So it's just.
I only stayed here because I got lucky, right? Like I was 21 and their mom was 19 and we got pregnant in college and we decided to keep.
Oh, you mean that lucky?
Yeah. That. And like if I would, most of my peers moved out to other areas for better opportunities. And I feel so lucky that I got to stay here, right? When you fly back into Rapid City, it's one of the few airports in America where you can smell, hear, and see cattle sometimes, which I love. But if you don't grow our airport, we shrink as a town. If you don't grow our infrastructure, we shrink as a town. If you don't find ways to compete against other states, economic development wise, you shrink as a state. It's not that the opposition is the devil or they're, you know what I mean? I feel they're wrong, but they have every right to have their statement and the town's going to vote. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. It's easier than you think.
There is, what else is coming up before the 20th? Is there another?
There's a few public forums. There's one. There's I don't know when this airs. There's one tonight at the Minaloosahan Senior Center.
This will be out Tuesday.
Okay, the night of Tuesday, which is I think 13th. We're at South Dakota School of Mines and Technology.
Okay, I'll try and put it out Monday.
Open forum. Sorry if it's.
What's the date? Just say the date.
It's the 13th at the Civic Center, January 13th, 2026,
okay.
At the Civic Center at School of Mines. And then there, we show up every Tuesday at 4:00 at 445.
Are you going to do that too on Tuesday also?
Tuesday. Probably not on election day because election day will be election day.
Okay.
But next Tuesday we will. And then on Wednesday morning, we have a cup of coffee at Dumb Brothers.
You mean
every Wednesday? This Wednesday, next Wednesday, for the 14th, I think it's the next one. The day after the election, we probably won't have the coffee.
Right.
But, everyone's invited. Opposition is invited. It's a public space. You can come and ask your questions. And like, we've been doing this since October, right? It's not, elections aren't won by trying to call somebody a moron on social media. Elections are won by we've talked to the Lions, we've talked to sports people, and we've talked to the banks, and we've talked to the construction folks and the home builders and the tourism industry and the insurance guys and every sports parent and the senior centers. And not everyone needs to be for it, but that's what communities are. That's what elections are. And then the town shows up or they don't. And if the town shows up, this thing wins by a mile.
I think No Free Rides, the opposing, also has community talks.
Yeah, and you should go to those too.
Yeah, I think
100%.
I'll try and post those down too.
And I've been to a couple, right? Like, they're a little fiery, right? Like, there are people running for office in June that show up to things like this and they cause a scene, and that's how they get in the news, and that's how they kind of run their campaign. And they don't even live in Rapid City. They just show up to disrupt. And so, like, do I wish that wasn't a part of the narrative? But Ain't nothing you can do about that. So everybody's welcome. You got to make sure everybody's there. But the one on the 13th is structured. It's not people screaming. It's no one trying to be calling everybody a moron. It's you have to submit your questions in writing. It's going to be a structured setting where you can sit and learn about this. A couple hours.
Just you guys or both?
Nope, both sides.
Okay.
Oh yeah, everybody. And then I think the city is even going to be there to answer city questions that neither side should be able to answer, because that's, you know what I mean. That's what gets complicated in this.
Okay.
So, and also, they're fun. It's a hoot. It's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love these things. Going to the Luzon Center tonight, filled with people who hate this thing for whatever reason, and they're valid to do so, and that's fine. That's fine. That's not. You know what I mean? They're not. That's what this is.
Okay. Anything else you want to include? Is there a way people can like email you or something for like?
You can go to teamrapidcity.com. If you want, for those of you that are just so mad at the sports deal and you want a more fact-based deal, there's also a website called Vote Yes Jan 20, and all that does is really explain TIFs, like take all the info from the Department of Revenue and put it into like, this is what's happening and this is where the money is. To me, I think Team Rapid City says exactly what this is. Like, I maybe leave it with this. It's, you know, take the TIF out of this and take this specific issue out of this. And I've been in community politics now for going on 2 decades. What I see is this: 2 sides of this state, which I respect, both ends. But data centers, wherever you sit on that conversation's happening. School education, school funding, school vouchers, energy costs, energy renewables, growth and jobs, and how to keep South Dakota transitioning. We're 3 parts, right? We're agriculture, tourism, and, you know, how do we grow our manufacturing, and how do we compete across both with other states and internationally, because it's 2026, right? Mm-hmm. These are the conversations that are happening. 3% turnout, 7% turnout, 9% turnout, 17% turnout. Decisions are being made by those who show up, and largely South Dakotans are just not showing up. If I have any point at all, no matter on what the issue, even after this election, June, November, wherever, we are free because people serve in the military, and we get to every 4 years not overthrow the government and get along and vote who our leaders should be. That, I know it's hokey to like love America nowadays, right? But like, that's not partisan. That's everybody. And that's the fix. I know it's hokey as shit, man. Sorry, I don't know if we can swear on this thing, but it's like, it's so important. It's the thing.
Okay. Yeah. And, okay. Thanks.
Buddy.
I hope we can have more of these talks. It's, you know, hopefully you guys get something from this. I know you've already made your decision. We'll see you on the next one.
Ciao.